Hello, I am Simulated Irk and welcome back to Simulated Irk Train Sim World. Today we're going to rush in, pun partly intended, a new era of Train Sim World where we're going to go to Train Sim World Rush Hour. Now the whole idea of Train Sim World Rush Hour is to inject a new sense of being on a busy railroad or a busy railway or a busy underground, call it what you want, during the peak hours. Train Sim World has been around for a couple of years now, and during that time we've had lots of adventures with lots more adventures to come with railways around the world. Today we return to America. We welcome Amtrak back, and we also welcome Boston for the first time to Train Sim World. So we'll see, will this be a typical Train Sim World rush hour? What carnage will be on the tracks? Hopefully none. Hopefully all the passengers will be well behaved. Hopefully the signals will clear as they will and as they should. It's been an epic adventure so far in Train Sim World 2, and that epicness is going to continue. There's lots in the back catalogue that you can see: simulatedIrkgaming.com, Simulated Irk on YouTube, and there's also a lot that I haven't done yet with the downloadable content that I have purchased. Also, there's been a major update to the engine of the sim, if you like. While it might be nice to have a nice new livery, nice new wraps, that sort of thing, sometimes you do need to do some work on the engine, and that's exactly what Dovetail have done in relation to Train Sim World. If you haven't yet, subscribe. Simulated Irk Gaming, Simulated Irk on YouTube, and we're about to go on an adventure, Charlie. We're going on an adventure, Charlie. Charlie, we're going on an adventure. And we're about to head to Boston for our first look at Train Sim World Rush Hour. I'm Simulated Irk, glad you can join me. Don't forget, lots of train action, Simulated Irk on Thursdays. Come and join me now. And indeed, hello passengers. This is Train Sim World, and let's have a look at what I have done so far, what's coming up, and what we're about to do. The Boston Sprinter is the name of the latest pack, which is a part of Rush Hour. The original plan of Rush Hour was to have a British route, a German route, and an American route come out at the same time. However, that's been changed, and the Boston route will be the first one released, followed by the German route, followed by the UK route. So the Boston Sprinter is part of Train Sim World Rush Hour. Coming soon to Simulated Irk, we'll go for... We'll go to Scotland for the Cathcart Circle line. Okay, we've already gone to the Great Western Express on a couple of occasions. You can see that here, right here at Simulated Irk. Rapid Transit was a very early release of Train Sim World 2. West Somerset Railway, if you like things a little bit more historic, that's for you. Nord German Railways, Long Island Railroad out of New York, Peninsula Corridor, California. East Coast Way in the UK. Ran Router, haven't done that one yet, but that will be coming soon. London Underground on the Bakerloo line. Some ICE action from Colon. Sandpatch Grade, the original Train Sim World route. The Isle of Wight heading back in time to the Isle of Wight. Some high-speed action in France and also the UK. And the wonderful but slow Arosa line. So let's go to the Boston Sprinter. I have watched a couple of videos, but I haven't done any of this yet. So we'll get straight into the action. Cane Creek will be coming up in a episode coming soon, as we see some Union Pacific action on Train Sim World 2. There's lots of German action across Train Simulator and also Train Sim World 2. Love the German transport systems. Haven't been on it obviously for quite some time. 2014 now, that's like 7 years ago. Rush Hour, Boston Sprinter, that's what we're about to see. Both Amtrak and also the local Boston system. So let's get into it and we'll do our Train Sim World usual.
Welcome to Train Sim World 2, an immersive and highly detailed rail simulation featuring authentic routes and trains from around the world. You've just been awarded some action points. These are displayed in the top right corner of the screen and count towards your overall experience. It is necessary to be fully observant of the surrounding world. Practice by looking up, down, left, and right.
This I hate this bit, I really do.
Besides operating trains, there are lots of requirements to navigate on foot. Try moving around now.
So this gives us...
This is one of the many interactives to be discovered, but not all of them will be as easy to find as this one.
So this gives us an idea of of the route that will be on between Providence and Boston South. I must also point out that I've never actually been to Boston, so I can't tell you how authentic this is in relation to the Boston experience. Great to see Amtrak back involved, as it was a part of Train Sim World 2020. Then it wasn't carried on to the new version Train Sim World 2, and now it is back. So let's close the door.
You can pause the experience at any point and review previous and current objectives. Check it out now, then return to the game when ready. A heads-up display has appeared on the right-hand side of the screen. This is a guide to what the train is doing. This is the speed display. The white needle shows current speed. The red marker indicates the maximum permitted speed. This is the direction display. An arrow will indicate forward, reverse, and neutral directions. This is the power display. A number will indicate what position the power control is in. These are brake indicators. They show the state of the various brake systems, allowing independent management of them. In the top right are the signal and speed limit displays. These feature an indication of what is approaching and a countdown distance to when they will come into effect. Some of these displays can be hidden via the settings menu for a more challenging experience.
Alright, apply. Some power. The screens look really nice.
The Boston to Providence line stretches for just over 50 miles and connects the state capitals of Massachusetts and Rhode Island. This locomotive is an ACS-64 designed by Siemens Mobility. Also known as the Amtrak City Sprinter, it is capable of a top speed of 125 miles per hour. Train Sim World 2 allows you to ride and drive from a selection of camera views. Let's take a look now while exploring this train.
I'm pressing right stick. There's the horn, baby. There's a rather detailed view of the pantograph. How good's that horn?
You've only explored a small area here, so let's take a look at what else there is to enjoy. Welcome to Boston, Massachusetts, a historic city located in the heart of New England, famous for its sports teams, art, universities, and colleges. Here you can experience the fastest rail line in America, from modern suburbia to sprawling countryside, linking the state capitals of Massachusetts and Rhode Island, in command of both Amtrak regional and MBTA commuter operations. Along the way, be sure to place route maps, restock fire extinguishers, put up advertisements, and prop up snow shovels. Choose Amtrak Express services or MBTA regional commuter services through the New England suburbs. This is the Northeast Corridor, Boston to Providence.
So here we are. We have done our first tutorial. Let's have a look at the other loco. So the rush hour season ticket is a bit of a different way than what it was originally promoted. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later on as we get to go on the train and have a bit of time to have a chat.
Welcome to driver training. Today you will be taken through the operation of an F40PH-3C in MBTA livery.
Alright.
During this brief introduction, we will go through the critical driving controls and passenger operations. When you are ready, climb aboard to get started.
Open the door and climb the steps.
Take a seat in the engineer's position. This is where you'll be spending most of your time.
Hang on, I've got to get up the stairs first. There we go. That was a little bit different, but we got there. Let's close the door. Sit in the seat. Very similar to Peninsula Corridor in this sort of respect.
We'll need to start the engine before we can get moving.
Okay, set the main battery to on. So we shouldn't really be in the seat at all. Alright, the main battery to on. Set the radio fuse to on. Hold the start switch for 4 seconds. There we go.
The HEP engine is a smaller, secondary engine to provide power to the coaches for lighting, air conditioning, and heating. Let's start this now.
Okay, so where's the otherwise known as head end power? Now, whoops, as I drop the controller. Oops, just got a bit disorientated there. So we should really walk over to it. Oh, come on. Hold the Head engine power HEP. Engine start for 4 seconds. Set the AC power on button. AC power on. Set the train line set up to Longwood Trail. There we go. The isolation switch to run. The cutoff valve to in. The MU to A valve to lead or dead. Set the engine run to on. Generator field to on. Control and fuel pump to on. EP brake control on. Insert reverser handle.
To make sure we can be seen, we'll need to set the lights.
Alright, headlights front to right.
Take a quick glance of the platform to ensure all is safe before unlocking the doors.
I don't know really what you could see from here. We got a mirror. Passenger doors unlocked. So here we are. Actually, I think we should go the other way. We are loading passengers. A snowy day in Boston. Hey, I'm walking here! Hang on, that's New York, isn't it? Lock the doors. They haven't told me how to do that, but I presume that's you again. Right, doors are locked. Rightio.
The reverser determines the direction of travel.
It sure does. Which is funny because it actually spends most of its time in forward rather than in reverse. Into forward. The automatic brakes to release. Whoops, not throttle, not yet.
This train is now ready to depart. Use the throttle to apply power and get moving.
You didn't say blow the horn. Takes a bit of time for the brakes to come off. So only slow speed out of here, and we're heading for our next stop at Boston Back Bay. I don't know what that beep is because they never told us. So it looks to have a few things that the San Francisco network didn't have, or that the you know, the loco in the Peninsula Corridor didn't have. So on this display up here, it's telling us that our speed limit is 10 miles an hour, and we're currently going 9 miles an hour. So we'll just keep on this pace for now. Again, no idea what that beep is because they haven't told us anything. Now, our speed limit has gone up a little bit, but not by much. Up to 15 miles an hour, so we will put a little bit of throttle on, but not much. Okay, our speed limit's just changed again to 30 miles an hour. It hasn't changed on my heads-up display down the bottom yet. Which is interesting, so I'll just keep it at this for now. So we're still idling, we're just rolling to Boston Back Bay, our next station. Now, it's probably because one's probably set for the front of the train, one's probably set for the back of the train. That's just my guess. So we'll throttle up a bit now. Knowing that our next station's 700 metres away. As I keep on saying, not much use in getting excited, because we'll only have to start braking soon anyway, and we're still under restricted signals. And because I've got no local experience, I don't know how long the platforms are.
You are now approaching Boston Back Bay. Use the automatic brake to apply braking force and slow the train down.
Okay, so to do that first, we should be idling. Too much brake. Didn't really approach it with any sort of speed anyway. You know, 7 knots might be a bit extreme. It's been a little bit of time since I've played Train Sim World, so I don't really have the feel for it. Unlock the doors. Oh, hang on, that's the right doors. You didn't tell me what the left doors were. What are the left doors, you muppets? That's a little bit of horn. Left doors are locked.
On the way to Ruggles, we will perform a test of the emergency brakes. When you're ready, apply power to continue the journey.
Should probably take some brakes off first. Because it will take the brakes some time to release. So just like on Peninsula Corridor, you've got a locomotive at one end and a driving trailer at the other end, for the lack of a better term.
We will now begin the test of the emergency brake. Move the automatic brake into emergency.
Now you tell me to set the idle to throttle. The throttle to idle, I should say. Wait for the train to reach a complete stop. That seemed to pull up too quickly for a train in emergency at that
Now the
speed.
train has stopped, we can begin to recover it.
Okay. Reverser to neutral.
Apply the independent brake while the automatic brake recharges.
Okay, the independent brake to... Hang on, independent brake to full application. Release the emergency brake. Set the reverser to forward.
Now that our brake pressure has recharged, we can release the independent brake and apply power.
Now we obviously didn't do that correctly because we're rolling back. A bit of wheel slip there. It's kind of too aggressive on the throttle. So we're not carrying that much speed into the platform, so we don't have to brake as hard. So we're pulling up nicely.
Good work. That concludes all the basics of operating this train.
Okie dokie. Okay, let's go the long way around. And let's have a look at this first scenario. We'll do a scenario and then probably on the next episode we'll just do a timetable service. Long way round. Now I haven't looked at any of these scenarios, so I don't know what they are. Good morning. Today you'll be driving this MBTA service to Boston South Station. Okie dokie. Now you haven't taught me anything about this one yet. So I don't know exactly what I'm doing. Maybe I should have not done that. We'll go back. Maintenance work on the overpass means trains going into Boston South Station are being routed around the single track into Southampton Street Yard. Okay. Alright, set the generator field. Generator field to on. Set the engine run to on. EP brake control to on. Cut off valve to passenger. Unlock the doors. So we are driving so that's the locomotive end. So the locomotive will be doing the pushing. Alright. Set the reverser to forward. The automatic brake to release. And apply some power to get moving. 9.6 kilometers into our next stop. So we've still got to wait for the brakes to release. Now you won't necessarily hear like engine noise or anything like that because the locomotive's at the back and it's pushing. So you'll hear rail noise and going over the track and that sort of thing, but you won't hear You won't hear the engine noise because the loco's down the back doing the pushing. Now, we haven't been told to set up any of the lights or anything. Marker lights will turn on. Cab lights will leave off. Headlights turn on. Alright, into 8 notch now. So Ruggles is our next stop in 9 kilometres. Seems pretty strange that our speed limit is already, you know, nearly 200 kilometres an hour. So we've got a signal coming up at about 300 metres. Bad sounding horn. So we're in full throttle, so there's no more that we can give, Captain. While we can, let's have a look outside while we're not actually doing anything. So there's the front of our train. Quite a few trains pass by in such a short amount of time. It seems strange that this is rush hour and the first scenario it's given me is the middle of the day. So to talk a little bit about the season ticket that we were talking about before, the original plan was to have all 3 routes as part of rush hour, Boston, Germany and the UK, all released at the same time and all for the one price. But what they've decided to do, partly because of Better start braking if I'm doing 154 kilometres an hour now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stop actually at this speed. So they decided to release them at separate dates. You can buy them individually if you want to. Right, I'm just going to go into suppression. And I don't think we're going to make it because we've braked way too late. Let's just see how far past the station we go. I braked way too late. Now I'm basically in full service and I'm doing 100 kilometres an hour still. As we go out the other side, because I wasn't paying attention because I was too busy having a chat. So here we are, we've stopped. Now the station is all the way back there. So the station is all the way back there now. I don't know, I think I'm just going to stop the scenario there because there is going to be no point in... There's going to be no point in continuing because it's just going to get confused and say, hey dude, station's back there, buddy. So that was a sign of simply not paying attention. So we should... I don't know the difference. I don't know what's going on, so we'll just do something. That's a cool shot of the tube train on the Bakerloo. So the season ticket, you can get all three for one cost. For me, it was about $56 Australian. However, if you wanted to buy them individually, each route is about $42. I don't know if I want to do that just yet. Yes, I want to go to the main menu. So there's a good shot of rapid transit. Let's explore. We haven't completed all the training scenarios yet. So we were just in the cab car. So let's do that. We should have really done that first, but no amount of training would have stopped me from doing 150 kilometres an hour and trying to brake where I did and end up stopping at the station successfully.
Welcome to driver training. Today you will be taken through the operation of a CTC3 cab car in MBTA livery. During this brief introduction, we will go through the critical driving controls and passenger operations. When you are ready, climb aboard to get started. Take a seat in the engineer's position. This is where you'll be spending most of your time.
How do I get in? Is this a door? Yes, it is a door. So let's walk on. Let's... I want to close the door. That's cool. So we'll sit in the engineer's seat. We should have done this before.
The cab car is powered by the F40PH-3C, and we will need to set it to be the active driving end.
Alright, so we did this before. Generator field on, engine run on, EP control to on, reverser to neutral.
To make sure we can be seen, we'll need to set the lights.
Headlights to... Oh, it only wants us to be dim. Okay, dim. Rightio. Set the cut-off valve to passenger.
Take a quick glance at the platform to ensure all is safe before unlocking the doors.
So, there's a new feature. There's a railway guy walking around. There he goes. Did he just get on the train? He did. See, we're loading passengers. There's a Amtrak train over there. There's a person wearing an interesting combination of clothes. There's been lots of work on what the passengers can actually wear. And there's more of them, and there's different designs of what passengers can wear, etc.
This cab features an in-cab signaling system. Upcoming speed limits will be displayed on the ATC panel. The reverser determines the direction of travel. This train is now ready to depart. Use the throttle to apply power and get moving.
Probably shouldn't have put in 5 months straight away. Now, as I mentioned before, you won't hear a lot of noise from this end because the locomotive's down the back pushing. So next stop, just under 9 kilometres south Attleborough. Oops, didn't want to do that. Are we doing 8 knots yet? No, let's do it. Now, if you're right down the back of the train in this situation, you're hearing lots of noise at this point. There's an Amtrak train. You will we'll hear the clickety clack of the train on the track. So speedo there. Brake cages there. This would probably be the closest to driving an electric train if you're not actually driving an electric train, in terms of some of the noise that you'd hear. So 6.5 kilometres to go before our stop. Going just over 100 kilometres an hour. Doesn't feel like it, but we are. And there's a speed reduction coming up in 2 kilometres to 97 kilometres an hour. So we can keep at this pace for now. So we'll just throttle back, and we may need to apply a little bit of brake, but not much. We are slightly going uphill. Just a little bit of brake, just to wipe some of the speed off. That's probably enough. Now, of course, in the real world, you'd have more than an hour's training of where you're actually going. So we're right on speed reduction. And in 2.5 kilometres we can get up to 201 kilometres an hour, but hang on, our speed's just because we've gone onto a different track. But then again, there'd be no use to get excited about a 200 kilometre an hour speed section if we've got a station stop in 3.5 k's. So this pace is probably good before we start our approach into the station in 3 kilometres time. Because at the moment we're just idling. We've got a slight downhill run. So our speed's dropping because we're slightly going uphill again. Now it can be hard to tell if you're actually going uphill or downhill with this, especially it's so slight. In reality, we'd have a braking marker. We'd have a braking marker in mind, whether it be a bridge, a particular signal. There might be a sign. This bridge is probably a good point.
You are now approaching South Attleboro. Use the automatic brake to apply braking force and slow the train down.
Working on it. Much better to be in this situation than what we were in before, in the scenario, where we simply left our braking way too late. In fact, we can actually release the brakes. You know, we have come in too slow. But it is a matter of getting used to how these brakes work on this particular train. You know, this would feel and operate differently compared to if we were operating the loco at the other end. I'll just give it a bit of power. And it would feel particularly different again in the Amtrak train, because every train is different, and even on a particular day, sometimes this end might feel different on this train compared to the end of the train that's approaching us. You know, it might feel different, and then you've got different weather conditions as well. So we'll just put a little bit of brake on, minimum brake. And in reality, we'd also know where to stop. So we're looking towards the other platform now. There's our railway man from before, just sitting there having a nice ride. Maybe he's going home after work. Maybe he's on his way to work. It's winter because it's snowy, so they're obviously dressed for the conditions, which is nice. So it's a nice looking carriage inside. Alright, so we'll get back in the cab.
Lock the doors and apply power to continue.
Doors are locked.
On the way to Attleboro, we'll perform a test of the emergency brakes.
A little bit of throttle to start while the brakes are still releasing. And you don't get that feeling of power because you can't hear anything. You don't have that feeling of power. So we're just building up speed at the moment. 7.2 kilometres to go. Although we already know that we're going to be doing an emergency brake application. Love that horn. Love me a good horn. Now we can open the window. We didn't get any action points for that. Oh no, we're speeding. Because I wasn't paying attention, because I was thinking, oh, we're just going to set the emergency brake somewhere. Is she going to tell us when to apply the emergency brakes?
We will now begin the test of the emergency brake. Move the automatic brake into emergency.
Before we do that, we shouldn't be powering. Yeah, we just have to wait. And this is the hardest bit if you actually do have to stop a train in an emergency. Knowing that there's nothing else you can do, you're just waiting for the brakes to take over and for physics to do its course.
Now the train has stopped, we can begin to recover it.
Wait for the brake pipes to recharge. Set the automatic brake to release. And apply power to get moving. That's all you have to do. You don't have to put it into neutral or anything like that, like we had to do at the other end. It's interesting. So the brakes are slowly coming off. So we've got 2.6 kilometres to go before our next station. So some of the stations are pretty well spread apart. It's not as if we've been running through smaller stations necessarily. So 1.8 kilometres to go before our station. We could probably stop applying power now. And we'll try and leave our braking a little bit later this time. So in reality, we know what sort of speed we should be doing when we hit the platform. You'd know a marker, and it's not necessarily the same distance for all stations. You know, we've got an added risk here that we've got a signal and stop at the end of the platform. So we'll do our minimum brake reduction now. There's the start of the platform. So we're in a full service application now. This is as hard as we can really go on the brakes without going into emergency, and we're pulling up nicely. That wasn't too bad. We're a little bit over. So how far were we over? Let's have a look. The first car and a bit. So plenty of room down the back.
Good work. That concludes all the basics of operating this train.
So what we should do to complete this episode before we go and do any scenarios, we should go on to the Amtrak loco and do our Amtrak loco school. I think I did things slightly out of order, which doesn't help. So we need to finish our training. We need to do, yeah, we went out of order. So we'll go and do our, so there's a good look at what we'll be getting in the rush hour. A German commuter train, a London commuter train, and what we've been watching on this episode.
Welcome to driver training. Today you will be taken through the operation of an ACS-64 locomotive in Amtrak livery. Today we'll be adding some additional stops to our service for training purposes. During this brief introduction, we will go through the critical driving controls and passenger operations. When you are ready, climb aboard to get started.
It's taking a while to draw in some things.
We'll need to start the battery. Press and hold the battery control button.
They are so detailed, which is awesome. Battery control. Walk to the control panel. Where's the control panel? Oh, we're gonna go through the... Oh, we've even got our own toilet. There we go. That's awesome.
This locomotive uses a pantograph to draw power from the overhead lines, and we'll need to make sure it's using the rear pantograph.
Select the pantograph selector to rear.
Take a seat in the engineer's position. This is where you'll be spending most of your time.
Now you'd think that they'd be able to put that in the cab. Alright, engineer's seat for me. Set the reverser to neutral.
The reverser determines the direction of travel.
To neutral. Press the pantograph up button, which is meow. The miniature circuit breaker to close.
The HEP engine is a smaller, secondary engine to provide power to the coaches for lighting, air conditioning, and heating. Let's start this now.
Okay, we should probably get out of the seat for this one. HEP, head end power. Hang on, we've got to hold it in start for 5 seconds.
To make sure we can be seen, we'll need to set the lights.
Hang on, I need to sit back in the seat. There we go. Now what are we doing? We're doing the lights. To right. The ditch lights. High visibility lights or fog lights, depending on where you come from, to on. Set the brake mode to passenger. Freight passenger. The left side passenger doors.
Take a quick glance at the platform to ensure all is safe before unlocking the doors.
So we can see there, we've raised the rear pantograph. Lock the doors. Set the reverser to forward. Automatic brake. To release.
This train is now ready to depart. Use the combined power handle to apply power and get moving.
Okay, so I only have to use the one handle, effectively. So what do we need? 32 kilometers an hour, 20 miles an hour. Getting a bit of wheel slip. So we're going a bit quick, so we'll just go back to idle. Our speed limit has increased, so we can increase power now. Oh yeah, that's a horn. How do I turn the bell off? There we go. So we can increase the speed a little bit. Starting to approach the speed limit, so we'll just go back to idle. Got a speed limit change coming up, and we're pretty much doing what the new speed limit will be. So we're pretty sweet on. The screens, etc. are certainly detailed. Now, how much of this stuff is actually active, I don't know. We've got our speed. We've got our train protection systems and in-cab signalling on the right. We've got our safety systems turned off for now. So 1.7 kilometres to go before our station stop. I'm not going to worry about powering much more at this stage. Now, being an electric train, the braking should be somewhat better.
You are now approaching South Attleboro. Use the automatic brake to apply braking force and slow the train down.
What if I don't want to use the automatic brake? What if I want to use the... What if I want to use the power brake controller in the braking zone? What if I want to do that? So we're 9% brake at the moment. Having very little effect. Max brake now. Now it's coming down nicely. Not fast enough. Now I don't like that. What's the point of having a power brake controller so how far are we? Oh, we haven't got many carriages on the platform at all. So I guess she wasn't kidding when she wanted us to use the automatic brake.
Proceed to the next stop at Attleboro, unguided this time, and see how you get on.
Okie dokie. So a little bit of wheel slip. Not surprising under these conditions. This isn't a bad angle. Now, I was mentioning before that I totally forgot about that 97 kilometre an hour speed zone. So we should be doing about 50 kilometres an hour at the moment. So we're back under the speed limit. I never noticed one. I wasn't paying attention. That's probably why. I noticed a speed limit reduction that severe. So there's been a major upgrade to the engine of the sim for all the previous routes as well. So there was like a 56 gig download for that, for the routes that I've got, and then there was one for this new route. So what I'm planning for the next episode, I'm planning to do an Amtrak scenario or an Amtrak train for the next episode, and then for the one after that we'll do a local service, and then for the episode after that we'll go onto the Union Pacific and go and do Cane Creek. And what we should do, if I remember to do it, I should turn the alerter on, and also the ATC. They don't necessarily tell you how to do that in the tutorials. And unless you've got detailed knowledge, you might not even know that they're there. So 1.6 kilometres to go. We'll definitely won't be using the power brake controller for braking this time. Just seem to be going so slowly, even though it's 92 kilometres an hour. We just seem to be going so slowly looking out the window. Alright, full service application. Okay, now we're coming up nicely. So last minute, that last little bit of a crawl, and it's wheel sliding and it's protesting, and it's saying, I don't want to do that.
Good work. That concludes all the basics of operating this train.
Okay, so it doesn't want us to do the automatic brake on that. Not the automatic brake, the emergency brake on that. That's interesting. So there we are. Anywho, I've been Simulator Dirk. You've been wonderful. On the next episode, we're going for a ride on Amtrak. Until then, thanks for watching. Stay safe out there and see you next time. Bye bye for now.